Welcome once again to Global Reports here on Liberty Television today, as usual, in our Kaduna studios. We welcome all our viewers watching across the globe, across Nigeria and across West Africa, and also to our viewers watching internationally on YouTube and Facebook. As usual, we follow the trending news items from across the world here in our Kaduna studios. Today, as usual, we have Professor Khalifa Dikwa, our very good friend. Welcome to the studio, Prof.
Thank you.
And this week has been a lively week. The first item we're going to delve into is the resignation of Theresa May of the United Kingdom as the Prime Minister, and the incoming Prime Minister, that's Mr. Boris Johnson. As we speak, Boris Johnson is with the Queen Elizabeth II, and presumably she has invited him to form a government. This follows very quickly, a few minutes before Theresa May tendered her or submitted her resignation to the Queen, which we assume has been accepted. We don't know, because these meetings with the Queen and her prime ministers are always held in secret, so we don't know what goes on. Boris Johnson has been a controversial figure. Just watch this short TV report.
And therefore I give notice that Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
They're saying Britain Trump. They call him Britain Trump, and people are saying that's a good thing. That they like me over there. That's what they wanted. That's what they need.
What matters is that we're getting somebody in Downing Street who's not up to the job. He's not the kind of serious politician that we need for serious times.
I am delighted for the country that Boris has become Prime Minister. I think he will be a great Prime Minister.
I think he's just the next Trump, to be honest.
I do think he probably is a smart person, but I don't think he has anyone's best interests at heart apart from his own.
He will unite the party and the country. Once we've left the European Union, almost nobody will ever want to rejoin such a failing organisation.
And I'm looking forward to have a good working relation with him. There are many different and difficult issues to tackle together. We have challenging times ahead of us.
I don't think he's got any more chance than Theresa May. I think it's quite sad for our country, to be honest with you.
Well, the world's politics is rife of colourful people these days, so if you can't deal with them, there's not much you could do. My advice would be just to stick clearly to the position that this is the best deal possible. I think this is the approach the European leaders will have.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to, obviously you've got to get Brexit out of the way, but you're not, a Prime Minister, a dog is not just for Christmas, and this Prime Minister is not just for Brexit. Let's look ahead.
Je suis très désireux de pouvoir travailler au plus vite avec lui, non seulement sur les sujets européens qui sont les nôtres, et la poursuite des négociations liées évidemment au Brexit, mais aussi les sujets internationaux qui font notre quotidien.
He'll get it done. Boris is good. He's going to do a good job. I think Nigel's someplace in this audience. Where's Nigel? Where is he? Nigel Farage. He's here someplace.
That's the bit of the history. The fact is, the United Kingdom now has a new Prime Minister, and it has a hell of a lot of problems. It's facing a lot of problems, particularly the famous Brexit, which is the British exit from the European Union, which is dividing Britain and causing a lot of controversy and a lot of division within the UK. Prof,
Yes.
What would you like to say on this?
It is an interesting one because the oldest party in the West, the Conservative Party, is now going to face many challenges. Even though Boris Johnson said he is going to unite the party, I don't see it uniting very soon because the challenges are there outside. Although Boris Johnson likes controversies and so on, right from the days he was a reporter, mayor of London and so on. London is not for conservatives. And that he refused.
It's traditionally been a Labour.
Yes, this is somebody who refused to back his ambassador when he described, he did certain things. He reported exactly what was going on in Washington, and I see that they are going to miss Ms. Theresa May along. I don't see Boris Johnson doing it, because it's not about just the comedy. It is about serious coming to. Is it going to be? So he's going to leave European Union by 31st of October without a deal.
He says with a deal or without a deal.
So
if they don't make a deal with the EU, he'll go.
It means another catastrophe.
Yeah, will do.
That the Irish border is also there.
The Irish
so
backstop, as they call it.
If he doesn't succeed in fixing it quickly, the likelihood is that there will be another election where the Labour will just come into coalition with the rebellious parts of the Conservatives, the Tories, in order to sweep the polls with Jeremy Corbyn.
And there's a lot of even Conservative members who want to ensure that Boris Johnson does not. Boris Johnson apparently wants to force a hard Brexit.
Hard Brexit and even neutralize the parliament.
That's right, neutralize parliament, and then while the parliament is neutralized, to go through with a hard Brexit.
And then it is
they've even taken court cases out against him on this issue.
United Kingdom outside the European Union is not. He's not going to get the same benefits as other members. It's not going to work. Again, linking it to Africa, I see that we have a new list of cabinets in Nigeria. The foreign ministry has not done enough, because I just see as if the foreign ministry is working to just maintain Commonwealth for Britain, rather than approaching and looking for new friends. And again, the foreign secretary, foreign affairs minister, the previous one, ought to have been advised that now it is high time for us to have Nigeria to have friends, to choose friends, not to open even the kitchen. I agreed Britain has not done enough since independence for Nigeria. America did not do enough for Nigeria and so on. But is it a good thing to say now to say China come in and the door is open with a blank check? No, it is time to say enough of this. Let us sit down and see the win-win areas where we need, and that we don't have to make Nigeria as a dumping ground for even things that Nigerians can do. Don't bring in Chinese for things that can be done by Nigerians.
Yeah, well, the Chinese bring in their own labor.
Their laborers.
Apparently, they even bring in prisoners.
Exactly. This is another thing that is
Chinese
more of invasion. That is the main prisoners as workers. That was the same thing that happened to America in the past, when Britain sent the bad ones to America and Australia. History is a
penal colony.
So we are going to have a new cabinet, and Britain agreed, but he must be very careful not to lean too much on Donald Trump so soon, because he needs the partners in Europe to work, and I do not see Boris Johnson doing more than what Theresa May has done so far.
It would be very difficult, given the circumstances, given the division in the parliament.
They are not going to renegotiate the terms. And again, if care is not taken, Irish, Scotland,
Ireland, Welsh,
what do you call it?
The Welsh even.
Yes, Ireland. Northern Ireland in particular, is likely to say, if we are going to leave Europe without a deal, I'm out of the Union of the United Kingdom. So we'll remain with Europe.
Yeah, because a lot of those regions actually received a lot of aid from the European Union.
It's not going to work.
You
can't
which
eat your cake and have it.
They won't anymore. Exactly.
You can't eat your cake and have it.
And this is what even a lot of British people don't seem to have realised.
So it's going to
that they all talk about how much Britain pays into the European Union, but they fail to take into account.
You don't want us, but you want our facilities. Is not going to work. Even in terms of sharing information, custom union. Even in security terms and so on, even the movement of the citizens of the European Union into and out, and the companies are likely to move out of UK, which will definitely affect the economy of Britain.
And actually, as you have said earlier in other programmes, if Britain in fact does part company with EU, or it would also could be an advantage to countries like Nigeria with their colonial heritage, because
Yes.
could actually.
It's not going to work because the colonial thing, right from Commonwealth and so on, we've had it. Britain had a long time to help Africa fix
It didn't do enough.
It didn't do enough.
Yeah,
The same
I
thing with
agree.
France. The same thing with others.
Well, you can't.
Now
you can talk. France is another issue.
Another issue. So
France is basically
now
a
Africa
pillage of Africa.
now choose their own friends, trade internally. Again, Nigeria was for dragging before appending its signature and so on. I just want the cabinet, Nigerian cabinet, now to hit the ground running. We took 2 months to get the list. I don't know when it
are we going to be hitting the ground crawling? Never mind running.
Swear them in. How much are we going to do on security?
Because we have a recess from Friday until something like 26th of September, I think.
Yes, the delay in fixing and the security is going to likely create villains into heroes. Villains into heroes in the sense that likelihood that you allow the villains to grow. It is very possible that there will be a proxy war similar to that of Yemen, which is now happening and so on. And I don't see people thinking ahead of time. It is very possible that we are likely to have what they call proxy conflicts within Nigeria. And the best way is to now to have a dialogue, not the military thing. Dialogue with the Boko Haram insurgency, the Boko Haram, with the Islamic movement of Nigeria, which is more of politics and so on. Originally, it was not, Shia was not a religious thing. It was a political thing that they said about the successorship and so on in the past. Now, and you see both sides, we know who created, which foreign intelligence created Boko Haram, and we also know who is behind anything Shia.
We don't know.
So the both were created ideology, an extreme ideology created from outside. And therefore we have to be very careful. We have to use enough resources in order to now revisit the previous committees of like that of Ambassador Galtimari, that of Barrister Turaki and so on. So many things and so on. They allowed them to rot. And allowing again former president saying additional things that are likely to persuade investors to stay away from Nigeria is not a good thing for us.
Yeah, just keeping on the Shia problem, a number of people were killed this week in Abuja, right? Yeah.
The same thing in Sudan, for instance. Do you know, this is elementary intelligence. When you have two sides now, police and Shia fire, something like that happening, it is very possible that you said, okay, the release is that the bail is with conditions, that you are not going to back to Zaria, where the people used to complain a lot and so on. You are not going to, you are going to another place under the eagle eyes of the security. Secondly, tell your people to stay away. Let them follow the rule of law. Thirdly, you must just forget about respecting another country more than Nigeria.
Yeah.
Not disrespecting Nigerian constitution and so on. Being loyal to another country is a treason. And therefore, these are
being
things
loyal
that
to what country?
Forget about it. Or else, if you think it is right, those who are protecting, who are saying it is their own right to so, they are free now to take them to the airport and give them asylum in those countries to go and do whatever they do. But not in Nigeria. We cannot have a parallel government. The same nonchalance given to Boko Haram to fester now to become a real monster.
Are you referring to the Iranian connection here?
Yes.
Or,
The same thing with Boko Haram. It was nobody, to date, nobody has even mentioned who actually killed the Imam Muhammad Yusuf at that time, extrajudicially, and created a problem. What will happen now, even if now they release this one, government must give him adequate security, because the third person, the devil, may come from somewhere as a sniper to attack him and then load it on government. That is the same thing that happened in Sudan recently, killing more than 100 people, not knowing the infiltration. Any anything like demonstration and so on will have infiltration because of the borders and so on. Something may come and then attack this one, attack both sides, and then in order to create a conflict. Nigeria must be very careful, and the security service must be given enough equipment to do it, because technology and so on, all this we can do it with technology. All the areas where the demonstrations take place and so on are supposed to be equipped with CCTVs and other technologies in order to be able to know who is coming from where. How come this thing was allowed to move from Kaduna to
we saw how
the seat of government?
Boko Haram started as a small
as a
issue.
small thing, and it festered.
And it festered and expanded. And
the same thing with this one. This one is now close to the presidency. The way they try to penetrate the National Assembly, the presidency may not be safe again.
You never know,
because these are thousands of people that were allowed to now to come closer, and then they are mobilized, and the security agents cannot even predict their movement and so on, their assembly and so on. It means there is something wrong with government in terms of treating or giving what the security agents need in good times. If just getting a list and so on, if there are appointments of the 4 years ago, some of them were not completed and so on, we can't do it in a very sluggish way. Security must be fixed first in order to avoid what happened to other countries.
Incidentally, just to digress to America, also today, as we speak, the investigation into the Russian involvements into Mueller, that's the Mueller report. Mueller is now being interviewed grilled, in fact, by the Senate, not the Senate, by the House of Reps.
The Congress.
And from what I watched on CNN earlier, he was not being too open about it. He was saying he was sticking to what's in his report.
And the plan, he was the head of the FBI in the past.
But
and then a lawyer.
But at the very beginning of the the interviews in the House of Reps.
He didn't conclude.
No, but it's still on. But in the very beginning, he restated this fact. There was
something
collusion. He's not clearing the president's Trump of collusion. That's issue is still there.
Over 400 pages and and the thing is, the Congress can impeach, can possibly impeach. It's not easy, but yes, they have already. Mr. Green has already said this is an impeachable offense. Let them impeach. But then Mueller's report cannot indict a sitting president. It is unconstitutional at that time because of that thing. And that it is going to be an interesting scenario in the Western democracy where, you see, with Brexit in Britain, Frexit in France, we have Trump in America and so on. They are going to be very interesting. It is time for other countries now to sit down and design the best of democracies for them and pick the best practices of other democracies and do the right thing. But you can't do it when you are docile, you are slow, you don't trust others to do the right thing. If you believe everybody else is a thief and so on, it's not. If you don't delegate, you don't bring up people in order to do it the right thing. You don't fix the economy just by mere statements, by mere assurances, by mere. It has to be done by people, the real foot soldiers, and those foot soldiers need to move out and in. The foreign ministry, for instance, of Nigeria should do more outside in order to ensure that West Africa ECO, the currency, is not sabotaged by other countries, particularly France and so on. The intertrade, it is even a shame that we have more trade with Europe than even with
Africa itself.
We have to do something about it. Let them handle, let them do their wahala with Brexit, with America, and so on, with the Frexit and so on. Fix our own, give the right thing, invite the people of knowledge, give them enough logistics to sit down, discuss, and then submit certain things. All this were kata-kata. only happen during democracy because people hide behind democracy, rule of what we call freedom of speech in order to infiltrate and drag African countries behind. Because we should, like I earlier said, Nigeria should do quick talk, open dialogue with the insurgents, all of them, even if it means going outside by using the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in order not to have a proxy conflict within Nigeria.
Yeah, earlier we discussed the list of ministers, and also we discussed the delay. But however, how do you see the list, particularly the
it is better.
29 new names?
Yes.
Is it better?
Yes, the better. This cabinet is better than the previous one. I hope they will be allowed to function.
Yeah.
I hope they will be posted according to their ability to do it. You see, particularly on security, economy, and then the rule of law. We know that certain people are going to return, but let the government be open enough.
Yeah,
Let's not think of everything must be done by Mr. President. It's not a good thing.
Ideal.
The state governments must key into the program. Nigerians have ideas. We shouldn't be people who will have a problem in their bathroom behind their ones, and they will always load it on Mr. President because he wanted it to be loaded on him.
Yeah.
He doesn't worry when people criticize him to move and so on daily basis. Mr. President should not enjoy being criticized or being so slow. It is not a good deal because by 2023 he's going to leave a legacy. He must do something better so that whoever gets his own support will continue with the good job.
That's what all leaders supposed to do in their last year if they've got a second.
Leaders, real leaders,
think about the legacy.
Think of others. But politicians just think of next election.
That's the point.
That's the problem. So I just wish them the best.
We have 14 former ministers. Do they all deserve to come back as ministers?
Not all, but I'm comfortable with the minister.
Amechi did a good. To me,
Amechi is yes. I'm comfortable with Amechi, Fashola, Lai Mohammed, Zainab of Kaduna. These are, if allowed to work, if allowed to have.
Well, that's the key word, isn't it?
Yes, they are allowed to work, and then if they are told to work for Nigeria, not for their own region, then we are likely to have something. For goodness sake, don't keep money in the treasury or a central bank in order just for say in order to say the budget or for infrastructure without thinking of the human resources. Both of them are supposed to be simultaneously done. That you can't fix it if you are thinking of just the roads and so on without thinking of the people who are fixing those roads and maintaining them afterwards, the trail and so on. We shouldn't be continuously talking about electricity all the time. We ought to bypass all this thing for a long time. We're just talking about 11.
Billions have been poured into electric.
Just 7,000 by 2011 megawatts by 2011. We can say, we can ask all these developed countries and so on, all these farms from all over the world, we want electricity within 4 years or within 3 years to so things. If you cannot do it, allow the other companies to come and do it, rather than to make a statement without really having the ways to achieve them, and including the moving out 100 million out of poverty with the slowness of the 4 years and so on. How is it going to be possible? In 10 years, 100 million means 40 million in 4 years. So we cannot do it when we are slow, when we don't trust others, when we don't believe that there is anybody who can do better. It does not work. Nigeria is bigger, and those ministers should be able to take aids, assistance, brainy people who know the thing from all over the country. In Nigeria, we have them enough. Not the way Minister Ngige was saying we have enough doctors. over 60% of them are already outside the country who can do things that will bring them back. That was how India, China, and Pakistan did, because they paid the professors and so on more than the ministers. They came back, and what they knew, they implemented them inside the country.
And what about the Nigerian National Health Insurance Scheme?
We have the brains. We will go and meet the same people, the same Nigerians. We meet them abroad. Why is it so bad? Is it wrong to give them, to pay them the way more than they are being paid outside the country? Fix the infrastructure. Do it. Make sure that things are given time frame. Within 4 months, I want result. This has not happened in the 4 years. President Buhari has not been supervising them.
This is
has not been supervising them, and those who did not perform, some of them returned again.
That's our time.
It's unfortunate. You give them time. If they don't perform, they should give you the reasons. If the reasons are genuine, fine. If they are not genuine, out. There are other Nigerians who can do it.
Unfortunately, our time is up, and I think that's a message that we're getting across. Please, let's move ahead in Nigeria.
Ahead. By the way, my second child, Mustafa, is 27 years today.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for coming on the program again. Thank you to the crew and cameraman and control room and the Global Reports team. This is me, Arthur Brooks, signing off for another week. Join us again, same time, same place. Have a great week. Keep watching Liberty Television.
It's not just about the individual news item, it's all about what's behind the news story. What went on before, now and after.
We report today not from Kaduna, Nigeria, but from Liverpool in the United Kingdom.
Slavery Museum, that's right, in Liverpool. Dr. Benjamin.
No personal attack on candidates.
Okay, thank you very much. Ray TV Liverpool. I'm here with Chris Kerr, who is one of the team that runs this remarkable little station.
My background is that I'd spent quite a lot of time working for Bernardo Television as a reporter and producer, and I have lived in Liverpool for most of my life, and I've had a very strong interest in doing something in the way of more local television, more than the regional service which Bernardo and the BBC offer.
This is Arthur Brooks signing off from Liberty Global Reports, and have a very good week. Thank you, Saidu, for coming on the programme.
My pleasure.
And please check out our Facebook page.